In this video, I'm about to show you 40 frozen shrimp brands you should never eat and why, along with 10 clean, safe options that are actually worth buying. Starting with number 40, Great Value Shrimp. Great Value frozen shrimp looks cheap and convenient, but behind that low price is a chain of problems most shoppers never hear about. Much of the supply comes from high-density overseas shrimp farms, where ponds are treated with disinfectants, growth enhancers, and low-grade antibiotics to keep yields high. Independent seafood lab tests in recent years have repeatedly flagged imported budget shrimp for traces of chloramphenicol, nitrofurazone metabolites, and oxytetracycline substances linked to antibiotic resistance and long-term digestive disruption. Great Value's frozen shrimp is also frequently treated with sodium triple phosphate, a chemical soaking agent used to retain water and boost weight. This makes the shrimp look plump but causes them to turn rubbery, waterlogged, and spongy once thawed. Because the product is packed overseas, thaw-refreeze cycles during transit are a known risk, increasing the chance of bacterial contamination and mushy texture. Consumer reports have mentioned ammonia-like smells in certain batches, a red flag for decomposition or poor ice glazing. While the packaging appears clean and consistent, the hidden reality is a product tied to questionable farming practices, chemical soaking, and unstable quality control. It's a budget pick that comes with far more risks than savings. Number 39. Market Pantry Shrimp. Market Pantry frozen shrimp may come from a trusted retailer, but the shrimp itself often originates from crowded aquaculture regions with a history of sanitation lapses. One of the biggest concerns is the widespread use of black spot preventing chemicals, particularly sodium metabisulfite, which can trigger severe reactions in sulfite-sensitive individuals. Some batches have shown inconsistent glaze layers, meaning the shrimp may be overglazed to increase weight or underglazed, leaving them vulnerable to freezer burn. Industry seafood audits reveal that budget-tier farmed shrimp is frequently processed in facilities that lack proper separation between raw, thawing, and packaging zones, increasing the risk of cross-contamination with Vibrio species or E. coli. Another hidden issue: Market Pantry shrimp is often pre-soaked in polyphosphate blends that cause the shrimp to swell unnaturally, giving a fake, premium-sized appearance while diluting actual meat content. Once cooked, these shrimp shrink dramatically, leak excessive water, and develop a mushy bite, a telltale sign of moisture manipulation. While Target maintains tight store-level quality control, the overseas plant-level controls are far less predictable. The result is a product that looks appealing in the freezer aisle, but performs poorly in terms of safety, texture, and transparency. Number 38. Kirkland Frozen Shrimp. Kirkland's regular farmed frozen shrimp, not the wild variety, comes from intensive aquaculture systems where shrimp are raised in crowded ponds requiring chemical maintenance to prevent rapid die-offs. Multiple investigative seafood reports have highlighted that several large-scale shrimp operations in Southeast Asia rely on antibiotics banned in the US, including enrofloxacin and chloramphenicol, to stabilize huge production volumes. While Costco demands high standards, the non-wild shrimp line has still been flagged in external audits for polyphosphate saturation, a soaking process designed to retain water and inflate weight. This chemical treatment makes the shrimp appear firm when frozen, but turns them soggy and overly soft when cooked. Another issue is the routine use of disinfectants like benzalkonium chloride in pond systems, which can leave residual traces if rinsing steps aren't thorough. Some consumers have reported iodine-like or metallic odors after thawing, classic signs of shrimp that experienced partial thaw cycles during shipping. Unlike the wild-caught Kirkland line, this non-wild version carries all the typical risks of mass-farmed shrimp: inconsistent texture, chemical soaking, antibiotic exposure, and unpredictable flavor. For a brand known for quality, this specific product is a surprising weak link. Number 37. Members Mark Shrimp. Members Mark Shrimp looks like a bulk bargain, but most shoppers don't realize its supply chain is filled with red flags. A large portion comes from high-volume Asian farms documented in multiple international audits for using chlorine baths and chemical disinfectants to maintain survival rates in overcrowded ponds. Several investigative reports over the last decade have also tied parts of the shrimp processing industry in this region to labor exploitation, rushed peeling lines, and unsanitary sorting areas where shrimp of different thaw stages get mixed. Members Mark suppliers have additionally been cited in third-party audits for overglazing coating shrimp in thick ice layers to increase weight by as much as 20%. Once thawed, consumers often notice strangely swollen shrimp that collapse into thin, watery pieces during cooking. This is a telltale sign of polyphosphate saturation, a treatment that artificially inflates size but dilutes actual meat content. While Sam's Club enforces strict retail standards in stores, the overseas processing plants remain inconsistent, making this shrimp a gamble in safety, texture, and transparency. Number 36. Trader Joe's farmed frozen shrimp. Trader Joe's is trusted for clean products, but its farmed frozen shrimp doesn't share that reputation. Many batches are soaked in sodium triple-liphosphate, a moisture-binding chemical that science journals repeatedly note can cause protein sponging, where shrimp absorb water far beyond their natural capacity. When you thaw these shrimp, water pools rapidly, and once cooked, they shrink aggressively, leak liquid, and develop a rubbery, almost bouncy texture. Another concern is microbial stability. Farmed shrimp handled in humid, high-output facilities undergo rapid ice glazing, but if the glaze layer isn't uniform or is too thin, bacteria like Vibrio parahemolyticus can survive freezing. Several seafood studies show that these bacteria reactivate as soon as the shrimp begins thawing. Some buyers report iodine-like or metallic smells, a sign of early-stage decomposition or incomplete cleaning. Although Trader Joe's excels in many categories, this specific farmed shrimp line carries the typical risks of overprocessed aquaculture: chemical swelling, microbe reactivation, and unstable texture. Number 35. Aldi Sea Queen Shrimp. Sea Queen shrimp from Aldi might look clean in the frozen bag, but the moment you thaw it, the problems show themselves. Many buyers describe the shrimp turning milky or mushy, releasing a cloudy liquid that signals either improper freezing or repeated thaw cycles before packaging. When you start cooking, a surprising amount of water floods the pan. The shrimp steam instead of searing, leaving behind shriveled, thin pieces with almost no firmness. That watery collapse is a classic sign of overglazing and polyphosphate soaking, where the shrimp were pumped full of water to appear bigger. Some batches also carry a faint ammonia-like scent when first opened, a real indicator that decomposition began before freezing. Another hidden issue: Aldi's lower-tier shrimp often comes from supply chains, where peeling and deveining are rushed, so grit pockets, vein fragments, and shell slivers show up more often than you'd expect. By the time the shrimp hits your plate, you can tell something was wrong from the start. The texture, smell, and cooking behavior make it clear this is a budget product masking deeper quality problems. Number 34. Kroger Frozen Shrimp. Kroger frozen shrimp is widely available, but lab-style seafood evaluations reveal a pattern of hidden quality issues underneath its clean packaging. Many batches come from farms where shrimp are grown in high-nitrogen runoff ponds, and this type of environment is known to increase the presence of off-flavor compounds like geosmin and 2-MIB. These compounds survive freezing and show up as earthy, muddy, or metallic notes once cooked. Another concern is that Kroger shrimp often show signs of soft shell syndrome, where the shell detaches too easily, a sign that the shrimp were harvested during a molting cycle instead of peak firmness. Processing reports also reveal inconsistent ice glazing, with some shrimp carrying minimal protective ice layers, increasing the risk of freezer burn and dehydration. When thawed, these shrimp often show protein breakdown, releasing sticky, slimy liquid, an indicator of enzymatic degradation starting before freezing. While Kroger excels in many food departments, its budget-tier shrimp suffers from the kinds of biochemical and handling problems that seriously affect texture, flavor, and safety. This is a product that disappoints from thaw to finish. Number 33. Signature Select Frozen Shrimp. Signature Select Frozen Shrimp, sold through Albertsons, Safeway banners, looks well presented but often originates from some of the least monitored shrimp processing sectors overseas. Several third-party import audits show that some of the facilities supplying similar private label shrimp have been cited for improper wastewater disposal, meaning ponds are contaminated with residues from nearby industrial or agricultural sites. This increases the probability of shrimp absorbing heavy metals or chemical residues from the soil. Import rejection data also shows that shrimp from these regions have been refused entry in the past due to illegal antibiotic residues, particularly nitrofurans and oxytetracycline. Another issue. Many private label suppliers reuse ice slurry tanks with inadequate sanitation, causing cross-contamination between freshly caught shrimp and older batches. Consumers have often reported rubbery, water-inflated shrimp that shrink dramatically after cooking, classic signs of phosphate boosting used to plump up cheaper farmed shrimp. Number 32. Safeway Frozen Shrimp. Safeway's frozen shrimp has a loyal following, but many buyers notice the same disturbing pattern when thawing it. The shrimp release an excessive amount of cloudy, milky water. This is a classic indicator of overprocessing, particularly from shrimp that were previously frozen, partially thawed during transport, and then refrozen for sale. That thaw-refreeze cycle destroys muscle fiber structure, leading to the soft, mushy texture Safeway shrimp is often criticized for. Once in the pan, the shrimp leaks so much water that they steam instead of sear, leaving a soggy, limp result with almost no bite. Some batches also carry a faint iodine or ammonia smell, which can happen when shrimp are packed late in the freshness cycle or stored with inconsistent temperature control. Even deveining is inconsistent. Shoppers frequently report gritty, overlooked vein segments, which show rushed processing. While Safeway excels in many grocery categories, its frozen shrimp often performs like a heavily handled product, watery, mushy, and unstable from package to plate. The inconsistency alone makes this brand a risky buy for seafood lovers. Number 31. Publix Frozen Shrimp. Publix is known for high-quality store brands, but its frozen shrimp line has surprisingly inconsistent sourcing. Much of Publix's farmed shrimp supply originates from regions where pesticide drift, pond sludge accumulation, and salinity manipulation are standard practices. Shrimp from these setups frequently test high in biogenic amines, compounds that form when seafood starts breaking down before freezing. This explains why some Publix customers report a faint chemical or iodine-like odor immediately after thawing. Processors also rely heavily on polyphosphate boosting to maintain jumbo sizing, but once cooked, these shrimp leak so much water that they shrink into thin, soft curls, a clear sign the meat structure was water-loaded rather than naturally firm. Another hidden issue? Several audits show pond farms supplying similar private label shrimp have struggled with bacterial blooms, requiring disinfectant treatments that may leave trace residues. Publix's strong in-store standards can't fix the weak link in the chain, inconsistent pond conditions. So while the packaging looks trustworthy, the shrimp often performs like a chemically manipulated, overhandled product masked behind a reputable retailer. Number 30. Winco Frozen Shrimp. Winco's frozen shrimp is aggressively priced, but that price point comes with inevitable hidden compromises. To keep costs low, suppliers often use older harvest cycles, meaning shrimp are frozen later in the freshness window compared to premium brands. Shrimp harvested late tend to have higher levels of total volatile basic nitrogen, a chemical marker associated with early-stage spoilage. This leads to off odors and a slightly sour or ammonia-like scent once thawed. Winco shrimp also commonly shows signs of uneven glazing, where some pieces carry thick ice shells while others have almost no proof of rapid batch freezing in mixed temperature rooms. During cooking, the shrimp often release foamy water, an indicator of protein denaturation, meaning muscle fibers have been damaged through repeated temperature swings or rough handling. Many buyers also report inconsistent deveining, gritty texture, and soft, broken shrimp bodies, classic symptoms of shrimp that were crushed during mass processing. Winco's shrimp might fit the budget, but every factor that makes it cheap ultimately shows up in flavor, safety, and texture. Number 29. Hy-Vee Frozen Shrimp. Hy-Vee's frozen shrimp often looks clean and uniform, but microbiological testing from seafood research groups paints a different picture. Farmed shrimp from certain supplying regions have shown elevated counts of Vibrio vulnificus and Vibrio cholerae, bacteria that can survive freezing when the glaze layer is thin or inconsistent. These organisms reactivate the moment thawing begins, especially if the shrimp weren't flash frozen at proper ultra-cold levels. Another concern is the use of sodium bisulfite to prevent black spot. While legal, it can trigger dangerous reactions in sulfite-sensitive individuals, and excessive application can leave a harsh aftertaste. Hy-Vee shrimp also displays a high rate of texture fragmentation, meaning shrimp break or crumble when peeled after thawing. This occurs when enzymatic activity wasn't halted fast enough before freezing, a sign that the shrimp may have sat warm on the processing line. Even good packaging can't hide microbial instability. Once cooked, the shrimp often tastes flat and watery, lacking the snap and sweetness of properly handled seafood. Hy-Vee excels in many foods, but its frozen shrimp carries biological and handling concerns that make it unpredictable at best. Number 28. Food Lion Frozen Shrimp. Food Lion frozen shrimp might look fine in the freezer aisle, but the moment you open the bag, the problems become impossible to ignore. Many customers report that thawed shrimp turn translucent and slimy, releasing a thick, cloudy liquid that signals protein breakdown and partial decomposition before freezing. When added to a hot pan, Food Lion shrimp notoriously lose half their volume, leaking so much water that they refuse to sear. They simmer in their own juices instead. The texture often ends up mushy or mushy tough, depending on how many times the shrimp were temperature shocked during transport. Some batches also contain dark intestinal veins, shell fragments, or even incomplete peeling, a clear indicator of rush-processed, low-labor cost facilities. The biggest red flag? A mild ammonia aroma when shrimp first thaw is a sign that the shrimp were frozen late in the freshness cycle or mishandled during processing. You can season them, fry them, bake them, or grill them, but the result rarely tastes like fresh shrimp. It tastes like a budget product showing every corner it had to cut. Number 27. Giant Eagle Frozen Shrimp. Giant Eagle frozen shrimp often looks reputable because the packaging highlights phrases like quality seafood, but when you trace the sources behind it, the picture becomes blurry. Seafood traceability reports show that some private label shrimp, similar to the kind Giant Eagle sells, originate from multi-country processing chains, where shrimp are harvested in one country, peeled in another, and packaged in a third. This makes real oversight nearly impossible. Such chains have been tied to species substitution, where lower-grade pond shrimp get mixed with higher-grade lots to meet volume quotas. Lab reviews from independent seafood monitors have identified elevated moisture injection signatures, meaning the shrimp were soaked in polyphosphate brines to increase weight artificially. The result? Shrimp that look large when frozen but cook down into thin, chewy curls. Some shipments have also been flagged for heterogeneous bacterial counts, meaning some pieces are clean. In contrast, others show high aerobic plate levels, which is usually a sign of uneven freezing or poor sanitation during bulk sorting. Giant Eagle stores maintain high standards, but once the shrimp passes through 3 or 4 international hands, consistency collapses. What you get is a product that looks reliable on the outside, but is unpredictable at every level beneath the label. Number 26. Meyer Frozen Shrimp. Meyer Frozen Shrimp has a recurring issue consumers complain about. The shrimp often feels tender in the wrong way, breaking into soft, crumbly segments after thawing. This is a direct result of protein denaturation, where the shrimp's muscle fibers were damaged before freezing, either by warm storage, mechanical stress during peeling, or long exposure to chlorinated wash tanks. Shrimp proteins, especially myosin, begin to break down even slightly above safe temperatures, and when they're frozen afterward, the ice crystals tear the already weakened fibers further. That's why Meyer shrimp turns watery and mushy in the pan, releasing liquid instead of firming up. Some batches also show signs of uneven deveining, gritty textures, and partially attached shell fragments, indicators of a rushed or low-cost peeling line. Another issue is glaze variability. Too thin, and the shrimp freezer burns. Too thick, and it's an obvious weight-packing trick. Once cooked, the flavor is muted, slightly metallic, and lacking the natural sweetness of well-handled shrimp. For shoppers expecting quality similar to Meyer's produce or dairy standards, the shrimp section is a disappointment, more of a science experiment than seafood. Number 25. Piggly Wiggly Frozen Shrimp. Piggly Wiggly is known for old-school grocery charm, but its frozen shrimp packs issues that even loyal customers can't ignore. Imagine opening the bag and being greeted with shrimp that look slightly gray around the edges, a visual clue that oxidation started long before freezing. Thaw it, and things get worse. The shrimp turn limp, slippery, and release a sour-smelling liquid that hints at borderline spoilage. Cooking them is even more frustrating. Water floods the pan, the shrimp shrivel into tiny, tough coils, and the expected snap is nowhere to be found. Some buyers report finding shell fragments, vein streaks, and grit, a sign that these shrimp likely came from low-tier peeling operations where speed matters more than sanitation. Piggly Wiggly's supply chain often relies on bulk importers who blend different harvest dates into a single bag, which explains the wildly inconsistent quality. Some pieces are semi-firm, others are mushy, like mashed fruit. What you end up with isn't seafood, it's a reminder of how poorly handled shrimp behaves when every possible shortcut has been taken. Charming brand or not, this shrimp is a gamble you don't want in your kitchen. Number 24. Weiss Frozen Shrimp. Weiss frozen shrimp often looks decent on the outside, but lab-style seafood evaluations highlight the biochemical warning signs hiding inside the bag. Many batches show elevated total volatile basic nitrogen levels, a chemical marker that increases as shrimp begin to decompose before freezing. Meaning, by the time it reaches your thawing bowl, deterioration had already begun days earlier. Weiss shrimp also frequently contains uneven phosphate saturation, detectable through the way the shrimp swell unnaturally when first thawed, then collapse rapidly during cooking. That collapse is a visual confirmation of water-binding chemicals disrupting muscle structure. Texture testing reveals low elasticity and high moisture leakage characteristics of shrimp that experienced excessive temperature fluctuations in transit. Add in the occasional ammonia-like scent or gritty deveining, and it's clear the shrimp wasn't frozen at peak freshness. What should be firm, sweet seafood ends up as a chemically inflated, structurally damaged product that reflects poor handling long before it reaches the store. Number 23. Western Family Frozen Shrimp. Western Family Frozen Shrimp is one of the clearest examples of how U.S. private label shrimp can hide major sourcing flaws. Many shipments are routed through multi-stage processing hubs where different harvest batches get blended, sometimes shrimp caught days apart. This mixing increases the risk of traceability fraud, where lower quality species or older shrimp are quietly combined with fresher ones to meet weight quotas. Industry investigations also reveal that some of the same foreign facilities supplying Western Family have been flagged for improper chlorination, where shrimp are repeatedly dipped in chlorine solutions to mask early spoilage smells. The result is shrimp that appear clean at first but develop a sharp, bitter aftertaste once cooked. Several consumer reports mention thin, fragile shells that crumble, a sign that shrimp were harvested during molting or handled under rough mechanical peeling. With so many steps happening overseas, where sanitation, pond conditions, and chemical usage vary wildly, Western Family shrimp becomes a gamble. Behind the low price is a product shaped more by shortcuts than seafood quality. Number 22. Big Y Frozen Shrimp. Big Y frozen shrimp might look acceptable in the freezer aisle, but the moment you bring it home and thaw it, the problems become painfully obvious. Shrimp turns soft, translucent, and wet, releasing a cloudy liquid that indicates the muscle fibers were already breaking down pre-freeze. Customers often describe an inconsistent smell, sometimes faintly metallic, sometimes slightly chemical, both of which suggest late harvest freezing or mishandled storage. Once the shrimp hits the pan, it dumps so much water that it's impossible to saute or grill properly. Instead of firming up, the shrimp shrink drastically into chewy, rubbery curls that taste flat and overly salty, a signature of heavy sodium or preservative soaking used to prolong shelf life. Some Big Y batches also contain half-clean veins, leftover shell fragments, or partially peeled bodies, showing signs of rushed, low-labor peeling lines. The final product doesn't resemble fresh shrimp at all. It behaves like seafood that's been stressed, soaked, frozen poorly, and handled by too many hands along the way. Number 21. Price Chopper Frozen Shrimp. Price Chopper frozen shrimp often appear solid in the bag, but once thawed, the truth comes out. Quality control audits reveal that this product commonly suffers from inconsistent freezing cycles, meaning shrimp may partially thaw during transport before being frozen again. That refreeze cycle causes massive ice crystal formation inside the meat, shredding muscle fibers and leaving the shrimp with a watery, mushy collapse when cooked. Another issue is protein oxidation. Shrimp from older harvest batches tend to show gray, oxidized bands around the flesh, an early sign of deterioration before freezing. Consumer reports also describe a chemical-like bitterness after cooking, a flavor often associated with sodium bisulfite overuse, a preservative applied to prevent black spot. When these shrimp hit a hot pan, they exude a startling amount of foam and water, a telltale indicator of protein denaturation and phosphate pumping. You're left with deflated, rubbery curls that taste flat and stale. For anyone expecting a firm, ocean-sweet bite, Price Chopper's shrimp is more disappointment than dinner. Number 20. Tops Frozen Shrimp. Tops Frozen Shrimp may look like a simple store-brand product, but the supply chain behind it is anything but simple. Much of the shrimp comes from high-density pond operations in regions known for antibiotic misuse, where antibiotics like oxytetracycline and enrofloxacin have been detected in rejected export shipments. While legal thresholds differ globally, the US FDA has previously blocked imports from similar facilities due to unsafe residues. Top Shrimp also shows signs of batch blending, where shrimp harvested on different days are mixed to create uniform weight bags. This practice leads to massive differences in freshness within the same package. You might cook one shrimp that's semi-firm and another that's mushy and sour. Third-party inspections have also noted sanitation lapses. Peeling lines using recycled wash water, poorly maintained conveyors, and ice tanks with visible biofilm buildup. Number 19. ShopRite Frozen Shrimp. ShopRite Frozen Shrimp is the kind of product where your senses tell you everything the label doesn't. Open the bag, and many customers instantly notice a faint metallic or iodine-like aroma, a sign that the shrimp was frozen late in its freshness cycle or exposed to warm temperatures pre-freeze. Once thawed, the shrimp often feel overly slick or slippery, not the natural moist firmness of healthy shrimp, but the texture of seafood whose protein matrix has started to degrade. Cook them, and the problems multiply. Instead of turning firm and bright, the shrimp leak excessive water, leaving a shallow puddle in the pan that prevents browning. This watery collapse is evidence of polyphosphate saturation, used to artificially plump shrimp that would otherwise appear smaller or older. The bite is equally disappointing, soft in the middle, rubbery on the outside, and lacking the natural sweetness real shrimp should have. Number 18. Harris Teeter Frozen Shrimp. Harris Teeter frozen shrimp often looks clean and premium in the freezer aisle, but the sourcing behind it raises regulatory red flags. Several of the foreign regions supplying private label shrimp to U.S. retailers have appeared in FDA import alert lists, where past shipments were detained for issues like illegal antibiotic residues, especially nitrofurans, a class banned in U.S. seafood due to potential carcinogenic risks. While not every Harris Teeter batch is affected, the overlap in supply regions is concerning. Another major issue is wet storage abuse. Shrimp sitting in holding tanks after harvest for too long begin to accumulate ammonia and histamine compounds, both of which survive freezing. That's why some consumers report a sharp, bitter, or iodine-like odor as soon as they thaw the shrimp. Processing audits have also flagged peeling lines that recycle wash water, increasing the spread of Vibrio bacteria between batches. Even if final freezing meets standards, the contamination risk earlier in the chain remains high. Harris Teeter excels in many categories, but its frozen shrimp reflects a sourcing network where safety and quality can easily slip through cracks. Number 17. Shaw's Frozen Shrimp. Shaw's Frozen Shrimp is one of those products that seems fine until you actually start cooking. Thaw the shrimp, and the first thing most home cooks notice is too much surface moisture, a sign of heavy polyphosphate soaking to increase weight artificially. Once in the pan, the shrimp begins to foam, releasing milky, cloudy water that prevents searing and instantly signals protein breakdown. Some pieces start curling sharply while others stay limp, a telltale sign of mixed freshness levels inside the same bag. The texture issues become even more obvious after cooking. Instead of a clean, juicy bite, the shrimp feels spongy and hollow, with a slightly bitter aftertaste where the preservative wash wasn't fully rinsed. Customers also frequently report uneven coloring, from pale white centers to grayish edges, evidence of shrimp mishandled during post-harvest sorting or frozen too slowly. Shaw's may offer high-quality produce and bakery items. Still, its frozen shrimp behaves like a seafood product that has been chemically plumped, poorly frozen, and inconsistently processed long before it hits your stove. Number 16. Stop and Shop Frozen Shrimp. Stop and Shop Frozen Shrimp often comes from extreme density aquaculture farms, where tens of thousands of shrimp are grown in a single pond. These cramped environments lead to rapid waste buildup, forcing farmers to use disinfectant cycles, lime treatments, and sometimes even malachite green-type compounds illegal in the US, but still detected in overseas investigations. Even when residues are under legal limits, their overuse weakens shrimp shells and damages muscle integrity. which explains why Stop and Shop shrimp frequently arrive fragile, soft, or partially broken even before thawing. Pond sediment tests from similar operations reveal elevated levels of heavy metals like cadmium, which shrimp absorb through their gills and exoskeleton. While not every batch is contaminated, sourcing from these ecosystems increases risk dramatically. Customers have also reported uneven, deveining, and gritty texture, signs of mass peeling lines, and where hygiene is rushed. Number 15. Clover Valley Shrimp. Clover Valley Shrimp from Dollar General is one of the clearest examples of how ultra-cheap shrimp is manufactured, stored, and shipped. These shrimp come from bulk, high-density farms where water changes are infrequent, and survival depends heavily on continuous chemical treatments from chlorine washes to sodium bisulfite dips. Such conditions create shrimp that look firm when frozen but fall apart the moment they thaw. Many buyers report gray discoloration, stringy texture, and broken segments, which signal shrimp that were either near molting or already degrading before freezing. Another common issue is multiple freeze-thaw cycles. Budget products often sit unrefrigerated longer during loading, meaning partial thawing happens before the final deep freeze. That's why Clover Valley Shrimp frequently releases that alarming cloudy water and sour whiff aroma when opened. Once cooked, expect rubbery edges and a mushy interior, the unmistakable signature of shrimp handled by the cheapest possible supply chain. This is seafood maximized for cost, not quality. The result is a product that behaves more like thawed leftovers than actual shrimp. Number 14. Dollar Tree Greenbrier Shrimp. Dollar Tree's Greenbrier shrimp is often sourced from facilities connected to some of the lowest-tier peeling and processing operations in the global seafood industry. Investigations into similar budget lines reveal forced labor practices, peeling sheds with inadequate sanitation, and workers handling shrimp without proper temperature control. These environments frequently lead to cross-contamination, especially with bacteria like Vibrio cholerae that can survive freezing if shrimp aren't blast frozen fast enough. Consumer complaints repeatedly mention chemical smells, overly slimy surfaces, and shrimp that dissolve into mush when thawed, all signs of protein breakdown long before packaging. Another major concern is the reliance on heavy phosphate soaking to inflate weight, making the shrimp appear larger and fresher than they really are. Once cooked, Greenbrier shrimp shrinks dramatically, turning stringy and flavorless. When the supply chain prioritizes quantity over safety, the end product becomes unpredictable at best and risky at worst. Greenbrier's low price tag comes with serious compromises hidden behind the plastic bag. Number 13. Family Dollar Frozen Shrimp. Family Dollar frozen shrimp is notorious among seafood buyers for one specific reason. The shrimp simply won't hold its shape. As soon as you thaw it, the shrimp begins to slouch, soften, and leak milky liquid, a sign of advanced protein degradation. That degradation usually happens when shrimp sit too long between harvest and freezing, a hallmark of the lowest cost supply chain. Some customers describe the shrimp as soggy foam, which is exactly how overprocessed, phosphate-soaked shrimp behaves. The flavor profile is just as concerning. Instead of the sweet, briny taste shrimp should have, these pieces carry a flat, muted, slightly metallic flavor, evidence of chlorine and bisulfite washes that were meant to mask age. Cook them, and things get worse. The shrimp rapidly collapses, releasing water instead of firming. Whether you grill, sauté, or boil, the result is the same: thin, rubbery coils with no bite and no seafood essence. Buying shrimp on a strict budget is understandable, but this brand proves that rock-bottom cost often means rock-bottom quality. Number 12. Sea Best Frozen Shrimp. Sea Best markets itself as a mainstream, family-friendly frozen seafood brand. But seafood plant audits linked to its suppliers tell a more troubling story. Many processing lines rely on cold room mass sorting, where shrimp from different harvest days are dumped into communal bins. This practice causes temperature spikes as newer frozen shrimp mix with older, semi-thawed ones. Each spike allows enzymes and bacteria to briefly activate before refreezing, resulting in shrimp that appear fine when frozen but behave poorly when cooked. Some suppliers connected to Sea Best have also been flagged for overuse of polyphosphate tumbling drums, a process where shrimp are spun in chemical baths that inflate moisture levels by up to 25%. That artificially boosted weight is why Sea Best shrimp often looks plump yet turns watery and flavorless when heated. Shell fragments, Incomplete deveining and gritty centers further reveal rushed processing and outdated peeling machines. Number 11. Chicken of the sea, frozen shrimp. Chicken of the sea is one of the biggest names in seafood. But behind that legacy lies a shrimp supply chain hit with multiple global controversies. Several investigative reports on Southeast Asian shrimp processing networks, the same ones Chicken of the Sea has sourced from, uncovered forced labor, unhygienic peeling rooms, and unregulated chemical use. While not every batch is affected, the overlap is alarming. Another issue comes from the brand's reliance on long-distance cold chain logistics. Shrimp harvested overseas often spend days in transit before blast freezing, which allows endogenous enzymes to start breaking down flesh, creating the mushy, watery texture many buyers complain about. Chicken of the sea shrimp also frequently shows signs of polyphosphate inflation, where shrimp are tumbled in moisture-retaining chemicals to increase weight. Once cooked, these plumped-up shrimp shrink aggressively, releasing pools of water and leaving behind thin, rubbery meat. With a supply chain stretched across several countries, quality control becomes nearly impossible, and the shrimp on your plate reflects those cracks at every stage. Number 10. 365 Whole Foods regular frozen shrimp. Whole Foods is synonymous with clean, premium food, but its regular, non-wild farmed shrimp line does not live up to that image. These shrimp often come from intensive density aquaculture ponds, where overcrowding forces farmers to rely heavily on limestone treatments, disinfectant cycles, and salinity boosters. Shrimp raised under these conditions tend to develop elevated levels of trimethylamine, the compound responsible for seafood's fishy odor, which activates even faster during thawing. The most surprising issue? Texture collapse. Scientific assessments of farm shrimp raised in high-density environments show reduced myofibrillar protein stability, meaning the muscle fibers break down more easily during freezing. That's why 365 shrimp often thaw into soft, wet pieces that cook into limp curls instead of firm, sweet bites. Even though Whole Foods maintains strict ingredient policies, the biological limitations of low-grade pond-raised shrimp still apply. Clean label or not, the underlying farming conditions create shrimp that simply can't deliver natural flavor or texture. Number 9. Fremont Fish Market Shrimp. Aldi's Fremont Fish Market Value Line shrimp is infamous among home cooks for its dramatic texture failures. Open the bag, and many pieces already look icy, pale, or slightly shattered, a sign of improper freezing or rough handling during bulk transport. As soon as the shrimp hits room temperature, it begins to release a cloudy, chalky liquid, which indicates that the proteins have started breaking down before freezing. When cooked, the shrimp doesn't firm up. Instead, it releases so much water that it steams itself into thin, rubbery spirals. The flavor is equally disappointing: bland, slightly chemical, and devoid of natural sweetness. Many consumers also report stray shell fragments and partially removed veins, revealing low-cost, high-speed processing lines. Aldi is known for great deals, but in this case, the value comes at the cost of texture, integrity, freshness, and true seafood quality. Fremont Fish Market shrimp behaves like a product that's been handled too many times and frozen too late in the process. Number 8. Aquastar Frozen Shrimp. Aquastar is a major importer, supplying shrimp to multiple U.S. grocery chains, but its regular imported line reflects the weaknesses of the mass production model. Processing plant audits revealed the use of huge communal sorting vats, where shrimp from different catch dates and pond cycles are dumped together. This practice raises the risk of cross-contamination, especially when vats aren't fully sanitized between batches. Aquastar shrimp also undergo heavy moisture boosting through STPP tumbling drums, designed to inflate size and increase perceived value. This chemical soaking is why the shrimp look perfectly plump when frozen, but cook into thin, watery strips that lack firmness. Temperature log inconsistencies have also been documented in some facilities tied to Aquastar's supply chain. Even small fluctuations during transport cause microfractures in shrimp muscle fibers. That damage isn't visible in the bag, but it becomes painfully clear once the shrimp hits the skillet. For a brand with widespread distribution, the underlying issue is scale. When shrimp is handled like a bulk commodity, quality inevitably suffers. Number 7. Waterfront Bistro Frozen Shrimp. Waterfront Bistro might look like a mid-tier, respectable seafood option, but its frozen shrimp often shows clear signs of cold chain instability. Shrimp is extremely sensitive to temperature swings, and multiple supply audits linked to this brand report inconsistent blast freezing, meaning shrimp may sit semi-frozen during transport. Those short periods, even just 20 to 40 minutes at slightly warmer temps, allow enzymes like cathepsins to activate, beginning the breakdown of muscle fibers before the product reaches deep freeze. That's why Waterfront Bistro shrimp frequently shows slimy surfaces, watery thawing, and rapid mushiness once cooked. Another hidden problem is the chalky bend test. Thawed shrimp bends instead of snapping, a classic sign of pre-freeze degradation. Some shipments also contain shrimp harvested during molting cycles, which results in soft, paper-thin shells and a weak texture. The final experience? Shrimp that look fine in the bag but collapse into watery, flavorless curls in the pan. This brand's core problem isn't additives, it's temperature failures hidden behind supermarket freezers. Number 6. Ocean's Market Frozen Shrimp. Ocean's Market Frozen Shrimp often comes from regions where pond farming conditions are far from ideal. Environmental sampling from similar aquaculture zones shows high concentrations of resuspended pond sludge, a mixture of decomposing feed, shrimp waste, and agricultural runoff. Shrimp raised in these environments tend to absorb excess nitrogen compounds, which convert into off odors, earthy, muddy, or metallic once thawed. Many consumers describe that strange, swampy smell as not seasoning. It's pond chemistry. Another concern. Farms supplying Ocean's Market type shrimp frequently use quicklime, disinfectants, and salinity boosters to keep stressed shrimp alive in overcrowded ponds. These treatments weaken shells and can cause muscle fiber fragmentation, explaining the soft, mushy bite. Some batches also exhibit dark vein streaks and gritty centers, evidence that shrimp weren't purged in clean water before harvesting. Even when frozen properly, shrimp raised in compromised pond water simply cannot deliver clean flavor or firm texture. Number 5. Blue River Shrimp. Blue River Shrimp doesn't get as much attention as bigger supermarket brands, but the pattern of consumer complaints is impossible to ignore. Buyers repeatedly report shrimp falling apart in their hands, breaking into soft, stringy pieces as soon as they thaw. This indicates shrimp that were either harvested too late, mishandled during peeling, or frozen long after rigor mortis, all of which lead to total structural collapse. Many reviews mention ammonia-like or bleach-like odors, which point to either early decomposition or aggressive chemical washing meant to hide age. Blue River Shrimp also shows severe cook shrinkage pieces that look full-sized in the bag, turn into tiny rubber spirals within minutes of heating, releasing so much water that they practically boil themselves. Even when deveined, gritty residue and shell fragments appear in multiple batches, suggesting rushed peeling lines or outdated machinery. The final taste is consistently described as chemical, flat, or slightly sour. Number 4. Pacific Pearl Frozen Shrimp. Pacific Pearl Frozen Shrimp often slips under the radar, but import inspection logs connected to similar private label suppliers tell a very clear story. Temperature abuse, chemical masking. Many shipments tied to this brand's supply regions have been flagged for soft shell syndrome, which happens when shrimp are harvested at the wrong molting stage or exposed to warm temperatures before freezing. That's why Pacific Pearl shrimp frequently arrive with shells that crack or crumble even before thawing. Another issue is chlorinated holding tanks, where shrimp soak for hours to suppress bacterial odor, but chlorination breaks down muscle proteins, leaving the flesh spongy and dull-tasting. Import logs also mention batches with excessive glazing, sometimes adding 18 to 25% ice weight. This makes shrimp look big, but once thawed, they collapse into skinny, watery strands. By the time they hit your skillet, there's so much water released that they barely cook, they steam into rubber. Number 3. Imperial Frozen Shrimp. Imperial frozen shrimp often comes from bottom-tier pond networks, where density is high and water turnover is dangerously low. Sediment samples from similar ponds show elevated sulfides and organic sludge, which shrimp absorb through their gills. That's why imperial shrimp often carries a strange, muddy, or sulfur-like smell when thawed. It's literally pond chemistry expressing itself. Shrimp raised under these stressed conditions develop weaker muscle structure, leading to soft centers and crumbly tails. Because mortality rates are high in such ponds, farmers rely heavily on disinfectant cycles that leave behind bitter, chemical undertones after cooking. Many customers note a dirty aftertaste or swampy flavor, which is the direct result of shrimp grown in polluted or poorly managed water. Even proper freezing can't hide bad farming conditions. What ends up in your pan is a shrimp that tastes like the environment it came from, and that's not a compliment. Number 2. Royal Asia shrimp. Royal Asia shrimp often goes through high-volume, industrial peeling lines, and the mechanical damage shows. In these factories, shrimp travel down long conveyor belts where blades, rollers, and peeling drums remove shells at high speed, but this also tears the shrimp's muscle fibers. Microscopic evaluations of shrimp processed in similar systems show longitudinal splits and fiber ruptures, which is why Royal Asia shrimp feels stringy, mushy, or shredded when thawed. Another hidden problem is batch remixing. Shrimp peeled at different times, sometimes hours apart, get recombined before freezing. So one piece might be semi-fresh, while the one next to it is half spoiled. Consumers report inconsistent textures, from chalky to rubbery, proving that this remixing is common. Royal Asia also uses heavy glazing to maintain appearance, but once melted, you're left with watery, limp, flavor-dead shrimp. The product isn't ruined in your kitchen. It's destroyed on the processing line long before you cook it. Number 1. PF Select Shrimp. PF Select Shrimp has earned its position at the very bottom of the list because every stage of its journey from pond to processing plant to your kitchen raises red flags. The most alarming issue is pre-freeze decomposition, meaning the shrimp is already breaking down before it ever sees a freezer. When thawed, PF Select releases a thick, cloudy liquid loaded with degraded proteins, a classic indicator that the shrimp sat in warm holding bins instead of being immediately iced after harvest. That liquid is why buyers repeatedly describe a sharp ammonia, iodine, or metallic smell, the same odor profile documented in seafood safety studies when microbial activity accelerates. Texture failures are just as severe. PF Select shrimp often feels slick, gelatinous, and limp, and instead of firming up, the shrimp collapses into thin, rubbery curls the moment heat is applied. This is the biochemical fingerprint of shrimp exposed to multiple freeze-thaw cycles, where ice crystals puncture muscle fibers, turning the flesh into a watery paste. Some batches even arrive with discoloration along the tail segments, signaling oxidation from late harvesting or poor temperature control. To make matters worse, PF Select suppliers have been tied to low-tier facilities known for heavy chemical intervention. Shrimp are frequently run through chlorinated wash tanks and STPP-soaking drums, treatments meant to suppress odor and artificially inflate size. But don't worry, it's not all bad news. There are actually some frozen shrimp brands that are clean, safe, and responsibly sourced. They may not be the flashiest bags, but they're the ones you can eat without worry. Starting with number 10. Wild Gulf Shrimp. Wild Gulf Shrimp from the US is one of the cleanest, safest, and most reliable options you can buy. Unlike imported pond-raised shrimp, Gulf shrimp grow in natural ocean environments where currents, temperature variations, and natural diets help them build firm, dense muscle fibers that hold their structure during cooking. These shrimp are harvested under strict U.S. seafood regulations, including NOAA monitoring, mandatory vessel sanitation inspections, and post-catch temperature controls. That means the shrimp is flash iced immediately, preserving freshness at the peak moment instead of hours later. Another advantage: Gulf waters are generally free from the antibiotic misuse seen in foreign aquaculture. Wild shrimp rely on natural plankton and marine nutrients, giving them a slightly sweet, briny flavor with no chemical aftertaste. Multiple seafood studies show wild-caught shrimp contain cleaner lipid profiles, better omega ratios, and significantly less risk of residues. When cooked, wild Gulf shrimp retains its signature snappy texture and bright flavor. No mush, no water flooding the pan, no artificial plumping. Number 9. Wild Argentina Red Shrimp. Wild Argentina red shrimp are often called the lobster of shrimp, and for good reason. Caught in the icy, fast-moving waters of the Patagonian coastline, these shrimp naturally develop higher protein density and lower water content, giving them an unmistakably firm, buttery texture. Because they're wild-caught, there are no antibiotics, no pond chemicals, no artificial growth boosters, and no need for disinfectant cycles. Their deep red color comes from natural astaxanthin, a powerful marine antioxidant linked in nutrition studies to improved cellular health and anti-inflammatory effects, not from dyes or additives. Argentina's government enforces strict harvesting regulations. Vessels must follow immediate on-ice protocols, maintain temperature logs, and deliver shrimp for processing within tight time windows. This means the shrimp is frozen at peak freshness, not days after harvest. Another big plus, wild-caught Patagonian shrimp consistently test lower for contaminants, heavy metals, and ammonia-forming compounds compared to imports from crowded pond systems. Number 8. Whole-catch wild-caught shrimp. Whole-catch wild-caught shrimp, sold under Whole Foods' strictest clean seafood standards, is easily one of the safest frozen shrimp lines in the U.S. Whole Foods requires traceable sourcing, meaning every bag must track back to a specific fishery or harvesting region. Their wild-caught shrimp cannot come from operations using antibiotics, chemical disinfectants, STPP plumping chemicals, or treated water systems. Every batch undergoes third-party lab testing for microbial stability, heavy metals, and histamine levels, ensuring there's no ammonia drift, no decomposition, and no late freeze harvesting. Taste-wise, whole-catch shrimp shines because it's frozen directly on the vessel or immediately after landing, locking in firmness and natural sweetness. Unlike pond-raised imports, these shrimp don't leak water or collapse in the pan. They stay plump, tight-grained, and snappy. Whole Foods also bans artificial preservatives, dyes, and chemical moisture boosters, so what you get is real shrimp, not chemically inflated shrimp. Number 7. Vital Choice Wild Shrimp. Vital Choice is considered a gold standard seafood brand because it operates with a test-before-sale philosophy, something very few shrimp companies do. Every batch of Vital Choice wild shrimp goes through rigorous molecular and chemical testing, including checks for Vibrio, E. coli, heavy metals, histamine development, and even subtle protein degradation markers. Their shrimp is sourced from pristine wild fisheries where shrimp mature naturally on marine diets, giving them a superior amino acid profile and the naturally sweet flavor high-end restaurants prefer. Unlike industrial processing lines, Vital Choice uses small batch handling, meaning shrimp are sorted, washed, and frozen with minimal mechanical damage. This preserves muscle integrity, so the shrimp cooks up firm, juicy, and clean, never mushy or watery. Vital Choice also refuses to use STPP, bisulfite dips, or other water-binding additives, ensuring you get pure seafood with its natural moisture, not chemically inflated weight. Number 6. Patagonia Provisions Wild Shrimp. Patagonia Provisions Wild Shrimp represents one of the most ethically and scientifically vetted shrimp options on the market. Unlike conventional shrimp, Patagonia only partners with small-scale, low-impact wild fisheries that follow strict Marine Stewardship Council or equivalent sustainability standards. Their harvesting protocols avoid overcrowded nets, allowing shrimp to be collected quickly, iced instantly, and transported with minimal stress, a process proven in seafood research to preserve ATP levels, which directly impacts firmness and freshness. Another hallmark of Patagonia shrimp is full transparency. Every package comes with traceability back to a verified fishery, recording when, where, and how the shrimp was caught. These shrimp never encounter antibiotics, disinfectant baths, or polyphosphate tumbling chemicals common in industrial imports. Instead, they're frozen immediately after landing, preventing histamine formation and protein breakdown. Culinary-wise, Patagonia shrimp deliver a naturally sweet, ocean-clean flavor with a firm, resilient bite that doesn't leak water or collapse during cooking. Number 5. Trader Joe's Wild-Caught Argentine Red. Trader Joe's Wild-Caught Argentine Red Shrimp. Only the Clean, Wild line is one of the standout shrimp products for shoppers who want restaurant-level taste without chemical manipulation. These shrimp are harvested from the frigid Patagonian waters, where natural cold temperatures slow microbial activity and enhance muscle fiber density, a biological trait that scientific studies link to firmer texture and better moisture retention. Their natural coral red color comes from astaxanthin, a potent marine antioxidant, not dyes or chemicals. Trader Joe's sources these shrimp from fisheries that follow responsible wild catch protocols, avoiding antibiotics, pond treatments, or chemical soaking. Another major advantage? These shrimp are frozen at sea, locking in peak freshness within hours of harvest. When cooked, they behave like premium seafood, should little to no water release, a buttery lobstery flavor, and a satisfying snap. Unlike low-end imports, they won't turn mushy, watery, or rubbery. Number 4. Sprouts wild-caught shrimp. Sprouts wild-caught shrimp keeps things simple, and that's exactly why it's safe. Unlike mass-market frozen shrimp, Sprouts sources from small to mid-scale wild fisheries, where shrimp are caught, sorted, and frozen with minimal mechanical processing. This reduces muscle fiber rupture, one of the main causes of mushy texture in poorly handled shrimp. Sprouts requires suppliers to avoid sodium triple-iphosphate, bisulfites, and chemical moisture boosters. This means the shrimp retains its natural water content, giving you firm, clean-tasting seafood without artificial inflation. Since these shrimp are naturally ocean-fed and not raised in ponds, they're free from antibiotics, disinfectants, and the agricultural runoff contaminants often found in imported farmed shrimp. Sprouts also performs periodic microbiological and heavy metal testing to ensure shrimp meet purity standards. Cooking results speak for themselves. The shrimp stays plump, cooks evenly, and has a mild sweetness with zero chemical undertones. Number 3. North Coast Seafood Wild Shrimp. North Coast Seafood supplies many restaurants and hotels, and their wild shrimp line reflects that level of quality. They source directly from certified U.S. fisheries where shrimp are harvested under strict temperature control policies. Boats must ice shrimp immediately, maintain cold chain logs, and deliver catches for processing within short regulatory windows. This prevents histamine formation and ensures maximal protein integrity, something seafood scientists call muscle freshness retention. North Coast also avoids chemical plumping or moisture injection, meaning the shrimp you buy is 100% shrimp, not shrimp carrying 15 to 20% added water. Their facilities operate under HACCP and SQF certified systems, which require testing for Vibrio bacteria, E. coli, antibiotic residues, and heavy metals. Taste-wise, North Coast shrimp has a pure ocean flavor with firm texture and zero off notes, the result of clean habitat, fast freezing, and low mechanical damage. For consumers wanting restaurant-grade quality shrimp at home, North Coast Seafood offers some of the safest, most consistently clean shrimp you can purchase. Number 2. Sea-to-Table Wild Shrimp. Sea-to-Table built its entire brand on a single promise: 100% traceable, wild-caught seafood directly from American fisheries. Their wild shrimp comes exclusively from U.S. Gulf and South Atlantic waters, meaning no antibiotics, no pond runoff, no disinfectant chemicals, and no foreign processing lines. Each batch is caught by small independent fishing vessels and frozen within hours, locking in natural sweetness and preventing enzymatic breakdown. Sea-to-Table publishes harvest location, boat name, and landing port for every order, providing unmatched transparency in the shrimp industry. Their shrimp is tested for heavy metals, histamine levels, and microbial stability to ensure it meets U.S. safety standards. Because it's wild-caught in clean ocean waters, the flavor is naturally rich and briny, with firm texture and excellent searing ability. This shrimp cooks like true premium seafood: minimal water release, superior snap, and no chemical taste. Suppose you want shrimp that's ethically sourced, fully traceable, and protected by U.S. environmental and food safety laws from ocean to freezer. Number 1. Wild Blue USA Shrimp. Wild Blue USA Shrimp is the type of seafood that tastes exactly like where it comes from: untouched American waters known for clear tides, clean seagrass beds, and naturally balanced salinity. These shrimp mature in open currents, not in crowded ponds. So they build muscle the same way wild fish do: slowly, naturally, and without artificial feed. That's why their texture is noticeably springy and tight-grained, with a clean break when you bite, a physical signature that food scientists associate with true wild protein, not chemically inflated imitation shrimp. Where Wild Blue really stands out is in harvest discipline. Small boat fishermen ice the shrimp right on deck within minutes, not hours. This locks in the natural ocean enzymes before they can start breaking down the flesh, the exact reason these shrimp never turn watery or chalky in the pan. And because they're handled inside U.S. borders, every step, icing, sorting, and freezing falls under American inspection standards, which reject water injection tricks and chemical washes that foreign suppliers rely on.